What happened to MS-13's highest-ranking hitmen? Prepare to be enlightened about the most feared gang in the Western Hemisphere, the Mara Salvatrucha, otherwise known as MS-13. This group's origins can be traced back to the deprived neighborhoods of 1980s Los Angeles, but they have since expanded their reign of terror throughout Central America and Europe. MS-13 is notorious for being a criminal organization that preys on the vulnerable through extortion. However, what sets them apart is the unbreakable social bonds they have forged with one another through acts of extreme violence against rivals and their own members. Their brutal and ruthless tactics have contributed to the Northern Triangle, which comprises of Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, becoming the most dangerous place in the world without an ongoing war. The Mara Salvatrucha's impact on the world is so profound that they keep even the FBI up at night. Today we delve deeper into this elusive and deadly gang, taking a closer look at who their most skilled and highest-ranking hitmen are. Are you ready to enter the dark and violent world of MS-13? Number 1. Yulan Adonay Archaga Carias. Yulan Adonay Archaga Carias, also known as Alexander Mendoza and nicknamed Porky due to his appearance, is a fugitive assassin who managed to escape only 4 minutes after being arrested in February of 2020. Armed police officers brought Porky into an office building where his men dressed like police and switched him with a willing prisoner. A distraction caused the armed men to suddenly point their guns at the staff and visitors in the office. Yulan Porky Carias emerged carrying an AK-47 and a shootout with the army ensued. His men executed a nearly perfect plan to free him from custody and were determined to succeed. Their sole objective was to liberate Porky, and with the odds on their side, they did. Despite the army's efforts, Porky was able to escape, an incident that seems straight out of a video game. Porky was a high-ranking leader and hitman for the MS-13 gang in Honduras and is considered by some to be the top leader of the gang in the country. The FBI is offering a reward of $5 million for information that can lead to his capture, which is more than the $2 million offered for the capture of notorious drug lord Pablo Escobar. Number 2. Miguel Angel Tobar. Miguel Angel Tobar, also known as the Hollywood Kid, is a hitman who has confessed to killing 56 people in his lifetime, including 6 women and 50 men. He even killed fellow gang members, including 3 who killed his brother. Despite having a dark history as an assassin, Tobar became famous for providing valuable information to the police. His assistance led to the capture of 30 high-ranking MS-13 leaders, including Strange One and Chepe Ferreira, who founded 2 Salvatrucha gangs in El Salvador. Ferreira is an infamous MS-13 member who founded the Fulton Locos Salvatrucha gang and the Hollywood Local Salvatrucha gang. When Tobar, also known as El Nino, was shot in the streets near El Portillo in San Lorenzo, it was not unexpected. He was hit with 6 bullets, 2 of which went through his head. Number 3. Douglas Ramirez Ferreira. Douglas Ramirez Ferreira had an unusual ambition of becoming a prominent MS-13 gang leader at just 20 years old. To achieve this, he had to commit heinous crimes like murder and rape and even show remarkable leadership skills. Ferreira and his gang, including Elmar Zelaya Martinez, Ronald Herrera Contreras, Henry Zelaya Martinez, and Pablo Valesco Barrera, decided to chop 2 young boys into small pieces and film them to prove their worth. This was a gruesome and barbaric plan, with the gang members filming every vile moment of their crime. In 2016, the police made a gruesome discovery of the dismembered bodies of 2 young boys, Edwin Escobar Mendez and Sergio Arita Tremenio. Mendez's body was brutally hacked with a machete and pickaxe and then buried in a shallow grave. Similarly, Tremenio had been stabbed a shocking 250 times in the back, and his broken body was stuffed in a trash bag and buried in another shallow grave. The perpetrators had claimed that they had to chop Mendez into pieces to make him fit into the pit. Ferreira, the youngest member of the gang involved in these heinous crimes, was later sentenced to life imprisonment. Number 4. Borromeo Enrique Henriques. Borromeo Enrique Henriques, also known as Diabliita the Hollywood Hollywood, or Little Hollywood Devil, is a famous killer who has killed almost 1,000 people. He was convicted for killing two people named Roberto Carlos Hernandez and Jose Virgilio Gonzalez in 1998 and has been in jail since then. During his time in jail, Enriques worked on rising up the ranks of MS-13 and then became one of the most influential members of the gang's board of directors, known as Ranfla Nacional. Ranfla Nacional directed MS-13's assassins to carry out various criminal activities. They were notorious for their violent actions, including kidnapping, murder, and extortion, and even ordered the assassination of an FBI agent in El Salvador. Enriques had connections with the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, which further increased his power in the criminal world. Number 5. Miguel Angel Portillo. Miguel Angel Portillo is a highly skilled and dangerous hitman whose existence went unnoticed until a state of emergency was then declared in El Salvador and the government created a special force to hunt and arrest MS-13 gang members. Prior to his capture, he'd been operating in the streets of El Salvador, rising through the ranks with his successful hits. Despite his preference for a low profile, the horrific nature of his crimes was revealed to the world upon his arrest. Portillo was convicted of 22 homicides, which involved a range of violent methods such as shootings, beatings, strangulations, and manslaughter. Miguel Angel Portillo was sentenced to 945 years in prison, where he will join 2,500 other dangerous gang members for the rest of his life. Number 6. Tokiro Ramirez. El Perverso is a 41-year-old gang leader and hitman of the MS-13, known by different names, including Tokiro Rodas Ramirez, Jose Antonio Rodas Ramirez, and Johnny Rodas Ramirez. He was arrested in Honduras during a soccer game in March 2022. Tokiro Ramirez was a notorious drug lord who believed in business above all, including life and death. Ramirez was a leader who made decisions and executed them. In mid-2008, he and his gang members chased and cornered a rival gangster riding a bicycle around their apartment complex. Perverso then shot and killed him. Perverso was the leader of MS-13, known for his tattoos that told the story of his rise to becoming a deadly hitman. He was crucial to the gang as he kept money circulating by engaging in illegal activities such as drug trafficking, kidnapping, robbery, and homicide. El Perverso did whatever it took to keep the gang active and funded. Number 7. Linez Diabliita Escobar. Linez Diabliita Escobar, also known as MS-13's Little Devil, was charged with the murder of 4 boys. She worked for the gang, luring boys to be punished, and decided to kill 4 boys only because they took selfies making the rival gang sign. The boys were killed in a wooded area using machetes, axes, knives, and tree limbs. The 4 young men were members of a rival gang who sought to impress their peers by posing with fake gang signs on social media. Little did they know that their social media posts would lead them to a horrifying end. Diabliita, the self-proclaimed Little Devil of MS-13, invited the boys to join her for a smoke in a secluded wooded area in the central Isla Park. During the trial, prosecutors revealed that Diabliita not only ordered the execution of the 4 boys, but also licked the blood off her lips after the killings. When asked if she was coerced or manipulated into luring the boys to their deaths, she unapologetically admitted to doing it herself. Diabliita received a life sentence, but the memory of the horrific crime and the 4 young lives lost would never be forgotten. The scars of that day will forever remain in the minds of all those who witnessed it. Number 8. Josselin Ramirez. Josselin Ramirez, a former member of the MS-13, spent her entire life in prison after being involved in the killing of a police officer and a rival gang member. Ramirez was inactive for a while, but when she returned, she became an expert in planning heists. Her role was to case businesses and plan and assess risks. Ramirez also cleaned the guns and wiped down anything that the gang members touched to ensure that fingerprints wouldn't be left behind. Josselin Ramirez a member of the MS-13 gang, was caught after a high-speed police chase during her attempt to escape. Her reputation as an exceptional operative for the gang preceded her, but her capture led to a 95-year prison sentence, meaning she would remain behind bars until she was 105 years old. Even though she's currently imprisoned, her notoriety still holds strong among the MS-13 community. Number 9. Eva Anibal Rivera-Paz. In what should have been a time of peace and celebration, the MS-13 gang launched a deadly assault on a bus carrying 53 passengers during the Christmas season of 2004. One of the gang's most ruthless members, Eva Anibal Rivera-Paz, aka El Culiche, was responsible for the carnage. With no regard for human life, he sprayed bullets at innocent women and children aboard the bus, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable horror. The attack lasted for only a few minutes, although for those who survived, it must have felt like an eternity. Sadly, 28 people lost their lives and 14 others were left with severe injuries, their lives forever altered by the senseless act of violence. Rivera-Paz is also known for his ability to move around strategically, using different names, fake IDs, and dates of birth to avoid being caught. He's been deported multiple times, but always finds a way back to the US. He did this to send a message to the government that MS-13 was a force to be reckoned with. Even after being deported again, he's likely plotting his return to the US. Number 10. Miguel Angel Lopez-Abrego. Nicknamed the Shy One, Miguel Angel Lopez-Abrego was determined to climb the ranks of MS-13 by any means necessary. In late 2016 to early 2017, he was given the opportunity to prove himself by kidnapping and killing a man. He meticulously prepared a shallow grave and had his gang friends bring the victim to him. Lopez-Abrego savagely beat and choked the man until he was unconscious, then repeatedly stabbed him over 100 times, eventually beheading him. He even took the man's heart and tossed it into the grave with the rest of the remains, solidifying his status in the gang. Lopez-Abrego was almost a phantom, evading the authorities for 5 long months. However, justice finally caught up to him, and he was then sentenced to 25 years in prison for his gruesome murder and Eva Anibal Rivera-Paz gang. Number 11. Wilmer Segovia. Wilmer Segovia, a notorious gang hitman, shared a cell with Portillo after their arrests. Segovia had been sentenced to life imprisonment for his crimes, totaling an astounding 1,310 years behind bars. He was a key leader with the MS-13, having been involved in multiple murder cases since he was a child, and his brutal actions had propelled him up the ranks of the gang. Wilmer Segovia, a high-ranking hitman of MS-13, was convicted of being a primary suspect in 33 homicides and involvement in 9 different murder plots. He's known for the gang's signature brutality, cutting victims into pieces and leaving them to rot in shallow graves, as evidenced by videos taken by the gang. Wilmer Segovia's bloodlust knew no bounds. He showed no mercy to his victims, whether they were men, women, or children, especially those from rival gangs. As a result, the court then decided to throw the book at Segovia, sentencing him to over 1,000 years in prison, which amounts to a staggering 470,000 days behind bars. The punishment was meant to ensure that Segovia never sees the light of day again. The world of MS-13 is a place that few have explored and survived to tell the tale. It's a world of violence, bloodshed, and chaos, where the only way to climb the ranks is through the commission of heinous crimes. In this video, we have uncovered some of the gang's most skilled and ruthless hitmen who carry out their orders with precision and brutality. We cannot help but wonder about the future of MS-13 and the impact it will have on the communities they terrorize. Will they ever be brought to justice, or will they continue to spread fear and destruction? Only time can tell. Certainly, the world of MS-13 is not for the faint of heart.